Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, madam. Right this way, please. And welcome aboard the all-new 1948 20th Century Limited from Walthers.
For 65 years, no train fired the imagination quite like the New York Central's 20th Century Limited. Its blistering schedule made it a favorite with business and industry leaders, and its luxurious accommodations attracted stars of stage and screen, further fueling the train's celebrity status and romantic image. By 1902, a major overhaul of the main line gave a green light to the even better 20th Century Limited. The press had a field day reporting on the train and its famous riders, firmly establishing the romantic image, which included rolling out a red carpet to welcome Century riders boarding at New York, of the 20th Century Limited in the mind of the public. It was business as usual aboard the Century following the stock market crash, but as railroads began looking to attract riders with new lightweight trains, work also began on an all-new Century. Entering service in June of 1938, the streamlined Century was the pinnacle of modern luxury, from its bullet-nosed J3A Hudson steamer to its Island Series Observation, all adorned in two-tone gray. During the war years, the streamlined Century performed yeoman service, and as the prospect of victory and peace became reality, the Central once again began planning a complete upgrade of the Century. Hailed as new from diesel to Lookout Lounge, the post-war train debuted in September 1948. Over $4 million was spent to modernize the Century, but the world was already headed in new directions. More business travelers chose to fly, while vacation travelers took to the highways. The great train, launched with so much fanfare 65 years earlier, came to an abrupt end on December 2, 1967, as the Century and several remaining trains were simply discontinued. Shortly after, much of the once great streamlined fleet was sold and scrapped. However, a few cars, notably both Creek Series Observations, did survive and have been preserved. Now, the great 20th Century Limited is running once more, in this series of 9 authentic HO scale models by Walthers.
Imagine being able to ride the 20th Century Limited for just 3 cents. That's how much it cost to mail a first-class letter in 1948 and have it delivered overnight. Connecting Chicago and New York in just 16 hours, the Century handled around 175,000 pieces of mail on every trip. 4 extra-large railway post office cars were built in 1938 and refurbished for the 1948 train. Each 85-foot-long car had a 60-foot postal apartment where mail was continuously sorted en route. The far end of the car housed a 21-foot baggage compartment for any luggage passengers did not require in their rooms and some high-priority express shipments.
Built in 1938 as Pullman Plan No. 4069B, these cars were originally named as the Imperial Series for the newly streamlined 20th Century Limited. As post-war production delays mounted, the railroad opted to refurbish several for the 1948 refit and named them as the Bridge Series. The 442 was equipped with 4 bedrooms, 4 compartments, and 2 drawing rooms, the largest of all Pullman accommodations. Between 1958 and 1962, all of these cars, except Imperial Bay, which remained on the roster until 1967, were sold to Canadian National, Illinois Central, Atlantic Coast Line, and National Railways of Mexico. For the 1948 re-equipping of the 20th Century Limited, New York Central assigned 10 roomettes, 6 double-bedroom sleepers from a pool of 97 new cars. These River Series cars, Plan No. 4123, were built between September 1948 and March 1949. From 1948 through 1954, 3 of these cars are present in standard 20th Century consists, and they operated on the combined Century Commodore Vanderbilt into the 1960s. One 10-6 sleeper, along with a 442 per train, was operated and through service to Los Angeles between 1948 and 1958, flying the New York Central flag on the Santa Fe's Chief. The Central went to great lengths to meet the needs of its wealthy business travelers, providing many extras not found in ordinary trains. Continuing the tradition for 1948, the Century was upgraded with 2 all-new lounge cars. Inside, passengers could visit the barber shop with its new shower stall, dictate a letter or telegram to the train secretary, or through the miracle of modern science, make a radio telephone call to the home office or an important client. But all work and no play was not the Century way. After hours, riders could relax at the cozy lounge enjoying refreshments from the bar. Retired in 1958, both cars were sold to the Rock Island in 1959 and served on the Golden State through 1971. Dinner aboard the Century was truly an experience. Where the 1938-built train required 2 standard diners to meet demand, the 1948 train received a new full dining car seating 64 and a matching kitchen dormitory. From its complete and modern kitchen, chefs turned out signature dishes as well as special orders for the exclusive clientele.
A unique feature at the time, the cars had an automatic door that allowed waiters speedy passage to and from the diner. The same crew remained on board for the entire trip, sleeping and showering in the special dormitory area beyond the kitchen. Used on the first section through 1958, they were later joined by two sister units with a lounge in place of the dormitory and served through 1967.
New York Central's 20th Century Limited was the flagship of the line, offering plenty of amenities and only the finest dining. The 1948 20th Century Limited saw a conversion from a pair of 44-seat diners to a twin-unit diner. One car of each pair was a 68-seat full-length diner, while the second was a kitchen dormitory car. When placed in service, the cars featured seating for 68 patrons, but there was no area for diners waiting to be seated. This was later corrected on all four cars. Each diner was semi-permanently coupled to its kitchen dorm car. The diners were signature cars on the Century and were present on the first section of every run. The 1948 edition of the 20th Century Limited saw the arrival of new 12 double-bedroom sleepers. Drawn from a pool of 14 cars built in April and May, the Port Series were constructed as Plan Number 4125. Advertising for the train was aimed at businessmen who could arrive early in New York or Chicago before the workday began. Double bedrooms allowed two rooms to be converted into one large room for conferences and entertaining. In service, an effort was made to orient the port cars so that the bedrooms, with their many windows all on one side of the car, faced the Hudson River. The hallway side, with fewer windows, faced the bluffs. To make the most money per trip, railroads and Pullman needed to carry as many people per car as possible. However, the traveling public wanted more privacy. To find a perfect balance, Pullman introduced the roomette in 1937. Completely self-contained and private, it provided a passenger with all the amenities, including seat, fold-down bed, sink, toilet, and climate and lighting controls. For the railroads and Pullman, the space-saving design meant large numbers of roomettes could be installed in a typical 80-foot car. While World War II put a halt to new car construction, the roomette was hailed as a major advance that would be seen on the trains of the future.
The old saying about making a good first impression certainly applied to the 20th Century Limited. Boarding in Chicago or New York, riders on the first section were treated to a look at a handsome Creek Series observation car. Signature cars of the fleet both were equipped with 5 double bedrooms and a unique elevated observation section known as the Lookout Lounge. Standing 12 inches higher than the front of the car, the observation area was fitted with oversized windows affording a spectacular view of the water level route. And on the outside of the car, the large stripes swoop below the windows to match the engines up front. Both cars remained in Century service through December of 1967 and were sold shortly afterwards. Today, both are privately owned and used in excursion service. We hope you've enjoyed your tour of Walthers' new 1948 20th Century Limited. The first car is arriving in December, so there's still time to reserve your set today. For more information about this exciting series of HO scale models or the actual train, visit walthers.com. And thanks for watching.